This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Busy weekend in the world of sports and fishing. Special two guests. We got the champs on today for BTL. I texted Jody White from MLF and I said, I got your boys Arthur and Andrew on the show. And he said, who the hell is that? I said, Ott and Andy, the Heritage Cup champs from Wisconsin. He said, oh, so, I'm high on the MLF Team Series that's going on in the fall right now. And I got a text from the one and only Ott DeFOE who said, hey, man, we're driving home with these two giant trophies that can barely fit in the truck with a cup that's like the size of the Stanley Cup on the top from this Heritage Cup win. And if you're looking for a guest, I mean, we're more than I said, yes, you're on Monday morning. So we're going to talk to Ott and Andy, the champs from that, a grinder Wisconsin event. They went to a number of different lakes. There were some, I think it took like 50 some for some, but others were like 22 pounds to win the round to move on in that event. So we're going to talk to them, talk about the dynamic, what their thoughts of it, what they like about that format, what they don't like about that format, what they think the future of that format is moving forward. And then we'll get with both of those very talented anglers about their thoughts on the 2025 BPT season that is rapidly approaching. Also, then in the second half of the show, we have some guys that have been on BTL recently, some friends of the show that had some really, really good weeks out west. There's the One Bass Lake Mead Open and the BAM, the Bass Anglers Magazine Tournament Trail. I remember we had Ken Ma on one time after you had won on the Thermalito After Bay. And we did like a whole show on what the heck the Thermalito After Bay was. It's just a really cool name for a fishery. So Ken Ma, I think this is like 6 or 7 major wins in the last 2.5 years out west between like all of the different tournament trails out there. Also, I kind of want to do a show on this eventually. MLF, the Western Division Toyota, is not coming back for the 2025 season. MLF saying they're focusing on something else, but man, if you look at the numbers over there, it's kind of justifiable. I think they average like 60-70 boats for a Toyota, where most of the others are over 150. And then the One Bass Lake Mead Open meads up enough they can get some boats on it. The US Open coming up in a couple weeks here. It is on October, I think, 13th or through 15th, something like that. That's on Mojave, back on Mojave, but they did have the Lake Mead Open. And if you listen to Guide Day, one of the dudes I had on, good dude, knows a lot of people in the industry, Julius Mazie, dropped like a 20-pound bag with like a 6-pound largemouth on Lake Mead, which is just unheard of for this time of the year. I'd like to get him on to talk about it. I'd be interested to see kind of what tactics played on that, but he had 45-24 and won that event. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, before we get to our guest today, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction is live. It is going on. You guys know I've talked about it. We had Epic Eric on talking about his baits. We got Frank Scalish. We got all sorts of trips. I think Ott and Andy have jerseys that are up for auction on that. All it is bassfishinghof.com. Then you click on the online auction, just like that. This goes through the September 26, 2024, approximately 9 p.m. You can browse all of the items in there, and then it's through BidPal. You can bid on all of them. I think, there it is, the BTL Experience trip at $1,000 right now. You get to pick your guest. You get $250 travel and a hotel room for that night, in studio, sitting right across from me, host BTL for a day, and then you choose giant crappie. I will fillet them. We release everything over 2 pounds because genetics, or we can go out and on one of these really cool lakes around here and try to catch a 30-pound satchel of bass. But the cool thing is we got Mark Jeffries, to throw in a behind-the-scenes tour of the SNU bowling center and a 1-hour bowling lesson the night before. So that's the BTL experience. Frank, I know we were really excited. I was wanting to see how Frank Scalish's one-off signed and hand-painted BTL experience. There it is right there. It's up to $850 right now. Those are like the 4 one-of-a-kind, all based on Lake St. Clair crawfish that he then painted on Norman crankbaits. So tons of cool stuff on here from a lot of people that support the Hall of Fame. All those proceeds go to support the Hall of Fame. Grants for habitat projects, scholarships for high school and college anglers who are looking to get into fisheries biology, that are familiar with bass fishing, to get people into positions to protect our fisheries and the sport that we know and love so much. And then also renovations, plaques, all sorts of that stuff that goes to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame for that induction ceremony. 5 people inducted. That takes place this week on the 26th. A lot of legends going to be in the house. I think I just heard Jimmy Houston's going to be there. Larry Nixon's going to be there a bunch. And then 5 inductees. It'll be very interesting to hear Skeet Reese's speech and Mark Zona's speech. They're both going in. I have not met Alfred Williams either. He's on my list of anglers that I would love to meet. Very influential in the hollow-bodied frog. And then Fred Arbogast. I think a lot of us started with maybe one of his baits. Let's bring our guests in here. They could talk about this. There's Ott. There's Andy. Thanks for jumping on, guys.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Andy, you strike me as a type of guy whose first topwater fish maybe was a jitterbug fish.
At night in a farm pond?
Yeah.
In cow patties?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Have you caught a jitterbug fish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or a hula popper fish? Or any of those old school topwaters?
A hula popper, but for sure, jitterbug.
He's caught a pile of them on an old chugger, too. That was one
old school chugger.
Yeah.
What about you? You're like old school. That you guys use a lot of that old school stuff. Jitterbug guy.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't remember honestly having caught one on it, but I can remember like the nostalgia of like, oh man, if you go fish over there at night, you got the old black jitterbug.
Yeah.
You know, the way that thing does across the surface. Oh yeah. I remember a lot of people talking about catching a lot on it. I can't remember a particular fish that I caught on.
It has to be one of the most underutilized baits in 2024 that you could probably still catch a bag on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You know, and it truly surprised me that somebody's not done a 2024 spinoff of it. You know, that Livingston thing kind of has that type of mouth that you fish it a lot faster. But I think that's.
Didn't Mega Bass have something like, what's that thing that's got like the wings on it that kind of walks back when you reel it in? All those are kind of derivatives of that bait in a way.
A little bit. The one that is a very funky bait that you may have hanging there somewhere that I have caught a lot of bass on is a beer can.
I do not have the beer can up there. No, but that was big in Japan. Mm-hmm. And then it came over and it's got the, doesn't it have like a Colorado blade on the back of it? Mm-hmm. And it's
I have caught a lot of bass on that particular thing.
Like in a tournament, like if you thrown that in an event.
Yeah. The one in particular that comes to mind, it was the 2006 FLW series. It was on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. Pretty tough tournament. And I actually had a cast on my left arm. I broke my arm at work at the trucking place I was working at goofing off. And I caught a limit the second day on that beer can lure in a tournament where not a lot of people caught limits. I didn't get checked, but I did catch a limit one day, all of them on a beer can.
Have you ever thrown the beer can lure, Andy?
No. I've seen him tied on, though. In practice, I've seen him tied on. I don't know that he ever carried it over into a tournament after we've been staying together, but I have seen him get it out and tie it on.
Yeah, it hadn't in a long time. But
before we went live, we were talking about the dice that the guys are throwing, and you brought up a great point. Like maybe that Whiskers from UV Tight Lines was ahead of its time. Those things are probably going to make a comeback.
Yeah, if anybody's got any packs of those, they could probably put them on eBay and get all kinds of them.
Have either of you guys messed around with the dice or?
He has for sure, but I haven't. he had one of them things tied on in my truck. I'm like, what in the world is this? He's like, oh, it don't take that long to make. I'm like, oh, me.
Yeah. Oh, so you were making it. You're doing the threading the silicone through the bait.
Exactly. Yeah, it was just a Bass Pro, a little Ned bait out of elastic type stuff, and yeah, I made. Actually, Edwin may have made it for me, or he showed me how to make it when we were at St. Lawrence, one or the other. But yeah, I still had one tied on from the St. Lawrence. It never got used in Wisconsin, but I did have one on there.
Do you guys think that's going to take off, or do you think this is like a thing that's kind of a fad?
I bet it. I mean, as effective as it has been in the last just year, I think it's more than a fad. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it's more than a fad.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know much about it. I'm way behind times. I've had two people in my career kind of keep me on trends, and that's Thrift and Ott. So if they don't tell me about it, I don't know it. And I asked Ott when I seen it in my truck, I'm like, is that thing the deal? He's like, oh, yeah, a bunch of people call them on at St. Lawrence. It's got to have silicone in it for them to bite it at St. Lawrence. I'm like, I ain't never heard of it.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Andy's jig, it's got a piece of plastic on it, and it's got a whole bunch of hair. I mean,
that's a very valid point.
A very valid point.
It really is like almost a suspending jig.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never even thought of it like that. Yeah, Andy strikes me as a guy who's thunder cricket, swim jig, and flipping, and you're like good with that till you retire in 30 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do. I've built that reputation, but yeah.
You just build it, Drew. Listen, this week up here, we fished 3 lakes, Matt, in 3 days. The first day, he caught him on a thunder cricket. Second day, he caught him on a swim jig. Third day, he caught him on a swim jig. So he built that reputation validly.
Yeah. No,
I was actually listening. I was listening to your show the other day. I don't remember when it was, and you got to talk about Thrift and the Whopper Plopper. You remember that?
I do like 15 hours.
Yeah, you was talking about how Thrift was ahead of his time with the Whopper Plopper, and he was catching them. Yeah,
yeah, in the cup, covering water.
Yeah, and yeah, he always was on the front end of that stuff too. But he told me, so the Whopper Plopper story is we fished together some in team tournaments, right? One of the last ones we won, or the last one we won. No, maybe. But anyway, he picks up that Whopper Plopper and he goes to throwing it behind me, and I'm throwing the buzz frog and I'm catching him. He's not. And I'm like, dude, will you put that stupid thing down so we can win this tournament? And yeah, fast forward, like he hadn't really knew what it would do yet. And fast forward a year later, I'm fishing the open on Lake Norman. He says, you better throw that Whopper Plopper. I said, yeah, I seen what that Whopper Plopper would do. He said, no, I'm telling you need to throw it. And I caught 5 of the 15 I weighed in the open on the Whopper Plopper. After a year earlier, I told him to put that stupid thing down so we could win this tournament.
I've told this story a little bit before. So the first time I ever saw the Whopper Plopper was when the Elite Series, it was the one that Lucas won. What year would that have been, I think?
In California?
In California, when you guys, everyone took out of the river and then you had to run 19 hours to get to where there was a bass.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Or so,
so I did a duck it on tour. I was going out, each day and just did a practice day and then followed. And I did covered Byron Velvick that event. And he had like the big Whopper Plopper.
Yeah.
And I remember he pulled it out and he goes, have you ever seen this? And I said, no. And he goes, this thing looks dumb, doesn't it? And I was like, it doesn't look good. And he tied it on and he made about 10 or 15 casts with it. And he's like, yeah, not the deal. And that was the first time I'd ever seen the Whopper Plopper. And then the next time I saw it was that open that Watson blew it out on Lake of the Ozarks, or not Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock Lake. And he was doing the horny toad up shallow like that. And I remember on day 2, like everybody that I was around, I weighed in like it was like my second open or third that I had ever fished. And everyone that was just going down the bank, just massacring them in that September, October tournament on the Whopper Plopper. And then boom, it was the deal. But I think that's like a bait that got kind of I feel like they got really used to that bait really quick. Unlike, I mean, am I the only guy that went?
No.
That's like, dude, for like a year and a half, every fish that it went over ate it, and then it was like, okay, we know this game. Is that a fair assessment, guys?
Insanely quick, especially on Lake Norman for sure.
Why is that?
That's a good question.
It's a pretty aggressive bait, and I think it has a fairly unique sound. You know, I mean, not that a buzz bait doesn't, but like it's I don't know, it's just fairly aggressive, and you obviously can still catch fish on it, but you know it's not just the bomb it down the bank and start burning it back, and they're going to maul it like they did. That's what I would attribute it to, just how. And there's not a lot of variation you can do with it, right? I mean, it's not you throw it out and reel it back. You don't do anything else with it.
But what, 2 years, and it was just another. It wasn't like the must throw topwater.
Yeah. But you can look across the board. I mean, the chatterbait, Alabama rig, they all was like that, you know. And then they just went back to just another bait. They didn't go away, which speaks to how good they are. But you know, it's got its time and its place.
Yeah.
But is that thunder cricket, the chatterbait, that bladed jig? Can't you do a ton more with that than you can with the flopper? Sure. So that's kind of what's allowed its longevity.
Probably. And you can fish it all year round too.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, you can catch them on a bladed jig from in the 40s to 90s. Like there's, you know, you don't pigeonhole it quite the same.
That's true. All right, let's talk about this big win, guys. Congratulations. Do either of you have the trophy handy? These trophies remind me of the NPFL trophies. What do you got in there, Ott? We got morning show. Is that some OJ in there or some milk?
It's coffee. It's not real practical to drink it or eat out of, but it is pretty cool. So, you know.
Look, if you see Ott sign my trophy, and then I had to sign his trophy.
There we go.
Holy cow, that's really cool. Whose idea was that?
That was Ott's idea. It's a pretty good idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is fantastic.
I think we both got. I know I won a Heritage Cup, and did you ever find out if yours was the Heritage Cup?
I didn't.
Yeah, so I think we both got 2 Heritage Cup trophies, but now we know what's what.
I don't think they have the cups on the profiles. They did get it updated, so you can actually see like where each of you guys finished in each MLF tournament, which is nice. But so I know you listened to that podcast, and I was really high on the team format. Am I wrong on this, guys, or is this thing like fun to be in the boat with, and you guys like can't wait to get to the next one and see what the future of this format for the team series is?
Yeah, no, it was it was a lot of fun to participate in, and I think that's what, you know, why it resonates with the fans so much is truly our emotions in it. You know, I mean, that's what makes it exciting for, you know, for people to watch too. And we actually both are in the next event. I wasn't quite just the way the pick-in the draft deal works. Like there was a chance Andy and I could get to fish together again, but we won't be out. I'm fishing with Alton Jones Jr. and Andy's fishing with Todd Fairclough. So we are both excited to go to the next event, but it is you know, it's not going to be quite like this one was. So it'll be tough having to fish against each other at some point in that one because it was so much fun for the two of us fishing together. And it would have been whether we won or not. But, I mean, Andy and I just being friends like we are and, you know, then getting to share a win together. But it is a tremendously fun way to fish.
Yeah, the hardest part is going to be at least a year before we get to do it again together.
Yeah.
It's going to be at least a year.
So what stinks. You guys had to like go back through and got redrafted then? Like there was a couple like little turnover.
Right. So they draft the first half of the season, the second half of the season. Ott was a captain the first when he picked me. And the only way I could get picked in the second round was if I was a captain too. And I was 3 or 4 places out. We didn't know if it'd go down that far. And I think Alton Jr. is probably both one of our favorite people on tour. So it was hard for Ott to tell him no when he called and asked, if I pick you, you going to turn me down or you going to accept me? So, yeah. I mean, you know, I ain't going to like Alton Jr. in the next tournament, but he out of all the people, he's way, way, way up there on our list of people we really like and respect the way he handles himself and carries himself and all that stuff.
I've had him on BTL a couple times. He was on the top 10 live scoper show and did like a bunch of homework. He actually made the list. Do you think he was like number 5 that's going in the industry today? But man, that he's not a kid, but I mean, you want to talk about, I mean, I know you guys both have kids. You want to talk about a kid who's grown up in a boat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's grown up in it and he's pretty savvy and he knows.
You know, when you following your dad like he did, there's probably going to be some different criticisms coming that's unwarranted, and he's handled that just extremely well. Extremely well. And if you look back over the history of bass fishing, how many kids have followed their fathers? And I don't want to say he's better than Alton, but he's got a chance to be equally as good as Alton, if not better. Very few kids have followed their dads that's been better, if you think back about it. Only one I can think of, maybe Dion.
Scott
maybe.
Martin.
Yes.
I mean, not 9-time angler of the year, but I mean, you look at Scott's pedigree over on the FLW tour and what he's done he basically did what Roland did, except did it instead of with TV. He did it with social media and that marketing side. But
so there's some, but there's been more follow that just couldn't do it. You know, just couldn't live up to daddy's shoes. And I mean, Alton's going to do that, maybe surpass it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few other ones coming. You know, you look at the one in mine that also fished in this event was the Robinsons that has the potential.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, Marshall's just getting started. But absolutely, to Andy's point, I think Roland and Scott would be the only ones that, and Dion and Guido would be right there too. But but no, that's a tough road to hoe.
Definitely. So I showed a clip, and I'll show it again. And this is one of the things I love about the team series. There's the clip right there, and it's like the actual team element. So like there's hooking up. He's got the spinning rod. Andy's trying to figure out like, how do I stay out of the way, and then now you're actually team element because Andy's got a job here. It's not, you're with it now. Ott's probably going, don't grab the line. He's going, I know.
Yeah, well, I was letting it slide through.
Like sandwich.
I watched that clip and I'm like, it looks like I grabbed the line, but trust me, it was sliding through my hands. Yeah, that's something that before it started, we said let's land our own fish because we're used to doing it. The other guy needs to be doing it, but it just kind of happened the first day of the tournament. We found out just how easy it is to grab one with 2 hands versus 1.
A two-hand grab, and then also as well, like the first day when we did it, I landed, I don't know, Andy grabbed, actually the first fish that we did that on, I had a couple that got hung up in some reeds or whatever them things are. We still ain't figured out. But I had a couple fish that got hung up in that stuff. And so, instead of going in there and then me trying to bend down and do all that and get them, Andy just reached down and grabbed them. Well, then later in the day, like I had a couple where just like this right here. And on the first day where Andy would swing them in, I'm behind him. I could grab it, unhook the fish, and he could sit right back in there, and just our efficiency doing it that way. They're just a team. Like we're just as happy if that one of us catch the other one. It did not matter to us. We just wanted them in the boat as quick as possible and both lines back in the water as quick as possible. And certainly there were times that grabbing each other's fish did that better.
So you fished 3 different fisheries, all sight unseen, didn't know where you were going. There were some interesting pairings. Like I would say, I messaged Justin Lucas after this was over, and he had a heartbreaker. He got beat out by like a pound. He was not happy about that. I mean, he was cordial. He's the pro's pro, but he was not happy that he got beat by 1 pound 3 ouncer in the last minute. Right. But like there's a whole semester, like there's a psychology or sociology course that went down in the Poche KJ boat over the course of this. Like you could do a whole semester of this, like human interaction, decision making, highs and lows, like tempering. It was fantastic. But how did you guys like decide who ran the boat, who ran the trolling motor, where you went, what style you fished, like all of the things that we all have to do in team tournaments for $200 for a boat, like all the regional stuff? Like, how did you guys come up to that decision so quickly and make it seem so fluid?
Yeah, that one funny little side note, and then I'll answer your question. So on the first 3-man team event, it wouldn't have been last year, the year before, it was myself, Poche, and Kelly That was our 3-man team. So I think that's why they ended up as a team, because they had been on a team as a 3-man team. Just kind of a funny little side note.
Was it as dysfunctional as it appeared on the 3-man team, like as it was at the 2-man team? And I say that with all due respect. I mean, they made the frickin' finals.
Right. The first, so and that is, of course, the structure was different.
Yeah.
But the first event wasn't, because we all caught a lot of fish. The second event was a little dysfunctional, which was the championship event.
I love it.
So, I mean, to the point where I got a little frustrated, and I took my headset off and tossed it in the floor of the boat. So, enough of that. We'll move on. But no, and this, I mean, no, and that's, Andy and I talked about it at some point. Like, there's no captain, co-captain on this deal with Andy and I. Like, if Andy had an idea, he'd sit down, we'd drive, we'd go to it. Or he may have the idea, and I'm closer to the console, so I'd sit down. He's like, "No, that pulling right over there. Let's start right." Like that. There's zero between he and I. And I guess we've just been friends for so long, and can most of the time finish each other's sentences that we almost think the same anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I mean, we're always kind of almost on the same wavelength, and that was. We talked about this driving home. Like, we in practice, on BPT and we did on the elites, and we talked to each other a lot during practice. We share a lot. We've shared information forever, and so often, obviously we can't during a tournament, during a tournament day, but we'll come back at the end of the day or end of practice, whatever, or during practice, and we're like, "Man, did you, Andy might have had some bites on a jig doing this." I'm like, "Oh, did you ever go back through them and try, a wacky worm, or did you try skipping a swim bait under there instead of this?" "No, I'll try that tomorrow," and vice versa. He's like, "Man, did you go further back in there, and did the water get muddy?" And so it's kind of, we always have those complementing ideas anyway. And then once we were actually in a boat together and could discuss it and then attack it together, it just made it really easy.
Yeah, it flowed pretty smooth, that's for sure. And I think in one of our ending interviews, he said, it's just we're both pretty selfless people, especially when we're together. And I think that's what makes a great team, that's for sure. And I fished a lot of team tournaments. Like, I mean, I keep bringing up thrifts, but I grew up fishing with thrifts. My dad and Louis Hoyle, and these people ask, like, "How you and thrift fish together?" Well, if we fish deep, I got in the back of the boat and I shut up because I knew my role. I knew how good he was. And if we fish shallow, he get in the back of the boat and we'd go. So you just got to be. And every weigh-in of every tournament that we ever fished, ever won, I don't know that anybody knew who caught 3, who caught 2, who caught 4, who caught 1, because it absolutely didn't matter. We never talked about it. And even though this was live and everybody who knew who was catching what, we did not care.
No. No.
We didn't care.
No. And
this is probably the coolest bite of the whole thing.
Absolutely. When Andy skipped under there, because it was kind of around the blind corner, I honestly thought he hit a duck. Like, it was such an explosive bite. And he didn't realize how far that fish through water till going back and watching. I'm like, "Dude, I thought you hit a duck under there," and it like whoosh and took off. It's crazy.
That's interesting, because I feel like when it comes to Team Series, like, it's all about, you look at every single region has 2 or 3 teams that, you have either, whether it's a $10,000 Team Series, like here in Oklahoma, we have the Skeeter, we've got the Triton Nichols, we used to have a Charger, but there are teams, and some of them, they fish separately out of each boats, and then they get together and they fish that day. Some of them, only one guy practices. Some of them, they practice out of the same boat. Some of the guys are both on the front deck. Some of them, one guy runs the show. The other guy's always the co-angler. The other dude doesn't even have it. But I'm sure you can name iconic teams in the Carolinas, Andy. I'm sure in Tennessee, you can name those. And I mean, like, going back from when you were a kid, they've been doing it. But I think that is a really cool dynamic, because if you're not both engaged, you can't have one guy competing against other teams where both guys are being productive.
Yeah.
And I ain't going to say never, but I'm gonna tell you, probably there's one iconic team around here that I think about, and it's Hamrick and Hoover. But you would never hear them at the weigh-in saying, "I caught 4 of them. Hoover only caught 1." You won't hear that. And I bet you all these iconic teams y'all think about, you just won't hear one of them walking around weigh-in bragging about how he caught most of the fish. If you do, that team ain't gonna last. I'm just telling you, it's not.
No.
And even though this is live and everything's in your face, and you know who's catching what, you better have the same mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you become a better angler spending time on the water by yourself and learning, or spending time on the water with someone else and fishing? Because it's an interesting dynamic.
That's an elite journalism question right there, buddy.
Yeah. No, I absolutely think, and I said this from back in my bass club days. The bass club I fished in, we fished 16 tournaments a year, and most of them were draw tournaments. And so you'd fish with a different person. It wasn't as individual, but it was, 2 guys in a boat. I absolutely think you learn stuff from every person you ever fish with, and there's different levels to learning. There's, just eye-opening. You've never seen it, never even thought about it, didn't even know it was a possibility. And then there's I know some of this, and you're really refining the details of it, learning. I think the part of eye-opening, you never had any idea a fish could ever be caught this way, learning, you do that better with fishing with other people. I think the refining part of it, possibly you do better on your own. I've never thought about that, but you made me think about that, and that almost sounded like a pretty smart answer.
Yeah. Well, I started thinking about it. I never really thought about it, but it's both, and I went to both. I thought he was going to say 100% when you're with somebody, but then his wheels started turning. But it's both. I mean, it just is. I mean, a lot of times with somebody, you'll never try something off the wall.
Correct.
Or really experiment with somebody. You do that by yourself, but like I said, you dang sure can get an idea that you never would have thought about with somebody else too.
Your thrift whopper plopper story, prime example.
Yeah.
You wouldn't ever tie that goofy thing on.
That's right. I wouldn't have. And thrift. So yeah, and I struggle with that a lot because growing up, you hear get in the boat with as many people as you can. Mm-hmm. And we just didn't do that around here. I mean, I say it was me, Thrift, Daddy, and Louie. That's who fished together. We didn't venture out much, and I always struggle with that because everybody would say, "Man, you need to fish with everybody you can, learn as much as you can." And I don't know. I think it was both.
Yeah. My joke in the bass club days was you always learn something from everybody. You learn stuff you wanted to do again and stuff you never wanted to do.
That's interesting. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I do want to get your guys' thoughts on the future of this, where you think the pinnacle of the team format is, if there's anything you didn't like, if there's anything that you really liked, if we could see in the future, teams, like Jordan Pippen teams and stuff that you guys could become an iconic team. Like, is there a future for, if a guy like me wants to fish with my buddy, can I fish my way up to this top level of team series? It's always been kind of tossed around. I know Jeffries used to do like PowerPoint presentations with like team owners and all that. Screw that. This 2 guys in a boat. I love the way this is. I want to know what your thoughts are on how high this can go, what level this can go. It's BTL on a Monday. Remember, Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction open, bassfishinghof.com. You can get oysters, you can get Andy's jersey, you can do the BTL experience, all sorts of cool stuff on there. Check it out through the 26th at 9 p.m., roughly 9 p.m. It's BTL on a Monday. At DeFOE, Andy Montgomery, the Heritage Cup champions from the MLF Team Series. We will be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
This is Gamakatsu's new Nano Alpha line of hooks. If it looks familiar, that's because they are. It's the same shapes and sizes in the round bend and the EWG and in the new Horizon head that you know and love from Gamakatsu, but there are a couple new features with this Nano Alpha, which is this little green label that you see on the packaging. First off, 2 times faster hook penetration. That's because of the Nano Alpha smooth coating on it, and also it is 4 times more corrosion resistant. Check it out, Nano Alpha.
I've been using Sunline Shooter for the majority of my career. Millions of dollars made, lots of bass caught, and the gnarly, gnarly stuff. If you need a abrasion resistant, tough fishing line for the really, really mean stuff, Sunline Shooter is for you.
Beatdown is efficient, rock solid.
100% American made.
This thing is super tough. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere.
I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
All right. Yeah, those were new commercials. That was like the first time I'd actually watched them, and it made me shockingly look like I was proficient and knowledgeable.
Yeah, those are pretty sharp. That's pretty sharp.
That's a first. Talking with DeFOE, Andy Montgomery. All right. So, Andy, I would say, Andy, you probably have, in my opinion, the most memorable BPT catch in the history of the BPT since 2019. So 6 years. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It would have been
9-pounder at Conroe.
Boat flipped a 9-pounder on a Thunder Cricket from 3 feet out. I mean, just boat flipped it like it was a 14-incher. I'll say it, most badass fish catch I've seen. And you've won pretty much everything individually that you can win on the BPT, correct?
Except Angler of the Year.
Except, well, yeah, you pretty much have to win every single event now to win Angler of the Year with the role that Jacob Wheeler's on. Like, his stats are just ridiculous. But both very individually accomplished anglers. Where do you think this team series fits into professional fishing at the top level over the next 5 years in relationship to one guy in a boat with a referee fishing by yourself, trying to beat Andy's brains in, and vice versa?
You know, that's a tough one to put your finger on, honestly, because as of right now, and kind of the way I have always described when it was the Cubs, once the BPT started, especially, we had the regular season Bass Pro Tour, and then you had the Cups. And I've always kind of called them bonus events or extra events, kind of stuff. Especially then, that none of that was live streamed. It was all shot in the dark. It come out later. It was its own TV program. Then that evolved into the team series, the 3-man deal, and then now to what it is now. And this being the first year that it's live streamed, so it being live streamed makes it feel more normal. The fact that it's not shot in the dark, it doesn't come later on. With it, it seems as though the success it's having, the momentum it's got, that it would certainly at least stay. Hopefully that it doesn't get changed. That it stays, and if anything is built upon. So that would be my hope. But I think it's kind of anybody's guess as to how that truly goes from here. But it's got a lot of momentum. After just 2 tournaments. Don't forget that there's only been 2 of these in the boat team deals, but it's got a lot of momentum already.
Andy,
I agree. I mean, and maybe taking a step forward it's got to go, man. Like you talked about, it's if you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, what are you going to get? And this has as much momentum and possibility as anything this sport's seen in a long, long time. So I hope they get it. I hope they run with it. I hope they run with it soon. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Not make wholesale changes. Not think, and I'm not knocking Mark Jeffries because I think he's one of the most brilliant people in our industry.
Well, let's not get carried away here.
When y'all was doing your show, it was a lot of, well, what if we have 4-man teams? And no, let's hammer down. Let's don't try to make it better. If you got it what it is, there's hardly, you can't find a negative comment.
Mm-hmm.
Don't change it. Don't think, well, we can make it better by doing this. No, let's go. Let's go. Let us pick our teams and let's go.
Here's the option that I thought the only thing that would make it better is, so like Andy and Ott, you're on a team. Let's say Ott gets in let's say a bear hunting accident, and you've got an event coming up. You have a alternate, but that alternate is on the MLF Invitationals.
Yeah, we really
and
like
he
that
only
idea.
he only fishes with you if you're sick. You guys decide to have another set of twins, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then that guy jumps up and he's a one-off for that event, but he doesn't have any part with it other than that. But it's an invitationals guy, not another BPT guy.
That's right.
If looks could kill, Jenny just killed you, Matt.
You never know.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Y'all probably have to have an alternate. You got to do that. But yeah, I wish it would morph into either a 4-tournament team season or something like that with a championship.
And Andy kind of hit on it just a second ago, but to make sure you got that point, that and you kind of even said it too about having iconic teams, that your team is your team, and that Andy and I, that once we're drafted, we're that team. We don't switch around that way in the next event. There's going to be people like, man, I thought you were fishing with Andy. Well, in this event, I'm fishing with Alton Jones Jr. That's
going to get a little confusing.
It's get a little confusing because of that, and that's that you building that team. You're going to build a following in that way, and that's exactly what made the Cups in their very beginning so successful. There were 24 guys. You knew when you turned on that Cup event, you were going to watch Tommy Biffle. You were going to watch Ish Monroe. You were going to watch Kevin Van Dam. You were going to watch Mike Iaconelli. They were the same guys were in every event. You knew when it come on who you were going to get to watch, and having that uniformity across the events, I think would be huge.
I could see. Oh, is that a dog in the background? We have a BTL policy. If a dog comes into the screen, you have to introduce it on BTL. I'm a big dog guy. What do you think of this though? So there has to be some turnover. It can't be indefinite. These are the exact teams, because you're going to have new guys and whatnot. So I just spit 2-year average. If you're one of the bottom 5 teams, then your team, you're available to switch to where if teams want to switch, those people in the bottom 5 kind of become free agents then. Yeah. So, as long as you're a team that performs, you're good to go. You're rock solid. But if, you get the 8 tournaments and the 2 teams, now you become possibly open to, and then as those teams are made and the new people come in, then those teams break up. You could have some of those teams that still get better and work on that from there. But that is kind of how I would envision it, as those teams stay, the exact same.
Yeah, you got to have a turnover for sure. But that's, I don't know. That would just have to be figured out.
Yeah.
But you guys are all on board. You do not want there to be more team series and less individual. Let's say it becomes an even split, 6 and 6, or maybe there's 8 team and 4 individual? Like, what are your thoughts on that distribution? How important is it to maintain your individuality on the water as opposed to the team aspect?
I mean, after one of these, if it was 6 and 6, personally, like I wouldn't hate that. I mean, and that's Andy and I have always been that way. We love the cups, and it's not just I love the team part of it. Andy and I love no practice. We don't take a boat. We just roll up. You throw your stuff in the boat. You go fishing. I mean, we fished 3 days. Like Alton, the Joneses fished the first day and made it all the way to the championship. So they were there, 8 days or something. So, that's the longest you can possibly be there. Like, we've always loved that part of it. We love the team part, but just the whole no practice, no information, show up, just that as a whole is as attractive. And I think we both would say that we love that part of it.
Agreed, Andy?
100%. And I don't know if you can get the rest of these guys to agree, but because a lot of them really love to practice. But I do think that made this show a lot of part of it's the reason it was interesting is because of no practice. Because if they would have practiced, you'd have been a lot of people in the middle of the lake. In a team style format, I think it even amplifies it when you're fishing the bank of how entertaining it is to watch. And with no practice, most people are on the bank.
And you guys had active target 2 on those boats, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw Marshall a little bit, like, trying to figure out what the heck he was looking at. And Marty was like, I don't know. And he's just like firing to the bank. And Marshall's like, look at them. They're following the jerkbait. Then, Marty's looking over the shoulder going, yep, they are. I'm just going to keep But I mean, it didn't seem like it played a huge role in this event at all.
I think Martin, a lot of that was some of the lakes we went to, but the last lake, I think Martin Villa.
Mm-hmm.
I really like him, but I can't pronounce his last name. I think they caught some scoping that morning.
Yeah.
But it's on the boat. It's definitely an option. And it will happen in a cup style format where people catch them. I mean, it's going to happen.
But I'm also thinking of the possibilities with a team format, though, of it's not just one guy with his head down. Now you've got the chaos of they're following it. You got the fish and the guy trying to cast behind him and catch 2 at one time and maximize that efficiency. And I mean, and then I can't imagine if you did some of these in the spring. Like I was saying, could you imagine Bobby and Chris set up on a 12-pounder that's skittish but kind of locked down, and both of those guys up there, a meeting of the minds, trying to figure out how to get this fish to eat, just boom, boom, hitting each other, spinning. Like, dude, that would be really cool.
Yeah. And in the no practice format, you'll never have the complete tournament being the scoping. You just won't. In practice, I think that creates some of that. And, I think we're both on the scoping side of things. We're both kind of down the middle, want to see some compromise of half and half or something like that. But we don't want to get on that topic. But I think this format creates that without having to regulate it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Last question then. I know over the course of history, well, you guys are both old FLW guys. They fought really hard to be like, hey man, we don't want to have to wear the butter jersey when I've got my sponsors that are paying. You know what I mean? Like the Imodium AD chewables can stay in the trailer. I want to wear. I know it's a different thing. You had Knight and Industries on this. It's a great additional play for MLF to provide value to their corporate sponsors that have supported the organization. Long term, though, would you guys like to have a team boat? Would you like to be able to fish out of one of your boats in the team series events as this thing goes down the road, or is that not a big deal to you guys as far as fishing out of a? Well, I know it's the same brand of boat, but
it all boils down to money. I mean, it just does. And if we're fishing for $250,000 or something, and it's because we're in them boats, because they're able to sell their own boats, that's fine. But if we got to make our own money selling our own boat, then we got to do that too. So it just depends on how it's structured.
Yeah, and that's going back. I keep reckoning these back to the cups and stuff, and that's we both started in the selects when the selects started. And in the very, very beginning of it, we were given a couple places on the chest or whatever that we could sell individually, and they sold the rest of the jersey. in the very, very beginning of that. And that would be a neat compromise kind of. But Andy and I have always been, well aligned personally with the Cup, with the Cup sponsors largely. So, I mean, like this one, we fish out of a Bass Pro boat every day. So that's good for both of us, So it's, but yeah, the thing that we do like about this, and it kind of eliminates, it's kind of like back what the classics were way back in the day, where it's the same. You don't have to worry about how's this boat set up, how's that boat set up. It's not up to you. They're all going to be basically the same, very, very slight variations.
And then in the new world of marketing that we're living in now, it's different, man. It's not. It's about building your own personal brand, and then you can sell your sponsor's product or promote them through your own channels, through your own socials and stuff. So I think the value of actually being in your jersey, being a have to, and nowadays is not as big as it was back in the day when that's the only way you was going to be seen.
That's right.
Now you got different avenues to promote your sponsors.
But people become an Andy Montgomery fan or not DeFOE fan because they watch us as people on that show. Then they go, they follow us. Then we're able to market to them in our own way. And that's, that was kind of the neat thing with this. Okay, there was 4 boats on the water, was the most ever, 4 cameras. That one camera in our boat was serving both of us the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you're getting double purpose. Like Andy's getting just as much coverage as I am, and it's you don't have to have 8 cameras because you got 4 that are on 2 people each. So it's
and you can't lie.
Either you or Mark hit on that, how you just cut your cost in half.
Yeah, everything. And plus you can't keep anything under your vest. Like you have to. Yeah. Like you could tell that David Dudley wasn't thrilled for a long time that Lefebvre was flipping that jig because he kept saying like, "Hey man, like, you ever thought of a lighter jig?" And Lefebvre's like, "Nope, I like this jig." And he's like, "How about a wacky rig?" And Lefebvre's like, "No, I'm pretty cool with this jig right here, Dave." and then he'd catch a couple, and Dudley would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's the jig there." Or like Lucas, every time they went around it, he was fishing with what, Hatfield? Lucas is like, "Did you get behind that ladder? Every dock, did you hit that ladder? Has anyone hit that ladder? Has there been a cast made to that ladder? How about that ladder?" Right. I'm like, okay, like Lucas finds ladders very important. You know what I mean? Like just different little things that if you're in the boat by yourself, you can't pick up on. So you're forced to, like, you guys aren't like chit chatters, right? Like when you're on live individually, but you guys had to talk to each other. You had to work stuff out. You had to, and that is all captured and that's all authentic. That's something that the 3 teams, when the in separate boats, I mean, it's the perfect format on that. Except I did see someone that was asking about, is it cramped with 4 people in that boat? Like seeing Skeet Reese sit in the middle just seemed wrong.
Yeah, but it worked fine. It worked really, really good.
Yeah. That's been talking about the moving around and who drove and stuff. Most of the time that they had told us they wanted us sitting, middle and driver, but most of the time one of us would ride, at the cooler, lay down on the front deck, whatever. And it just is another step in efficiency because that person's already that much closer to the front. You didn't have to play ring around the rosy in the floor to everybody to get seated. It was way more efficient that way.
No, it worked flawlessly with 4 people in the boat.
Well, congratulations. Anything else you guys want to get in? Any thoughts on next year's schedule or what's going on the BPT in 20? Like I will say candidly, for the first time, I feel like you guys are entering MLF as a whole is entering 2025 with a lot of positive momentum.
Boy, that makes us feel good, don't it? Yeah. All because of the team series.
Well, not because of the team series. I mean, because of a lot of it just seems like there's been several right steps in a row.
Yeah, I agree. And me and Ox fished every organization, FLW, Elites, and we've spent over 5 years at every organization. And it's just the ebbs and flows. I remember back in the FLW Elite days, it's like one seemed to have one momentum and one didn't have momentum, and then it flipped, and then it went back and forth. It just is what it is. And behind the scenes, there's always drama in every organization, and it always seems like the same drama, no matter where you go. So, it is. We just got to go fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, roll with the punches, and it does. It's having with the changes and we don't want to get deep in the forward facing. That's been covered every way from Sunday, but I do think what we're doing there is interesting. It's different, and I don't think it's going to be terribly hard to follow, and I think it's going to make an interesting product. And our schedule honestly isn't. We don't have a bunch of Del Hollas and Toledo Bends and stuff on there this year, so that kind of takes care of some of it on its own. But it's a good place to be, and we're just after you have a good tournament, you're just ready to go fishing again.
Yeah, we want to get to next fall so we can fish another team tournament together.
That's right.
Well, maybe they change it to where we can fish it in February.
Yeah, that'd be nice too.
Yeah, breaking up the dream team. There's no, since you guys won this, there's no championship or anything where the top four winning teams go to the finals yet or anything.
We sure hope it morphs into that.
No, it will. It has to. It absolutely has to. There's no way that it won't.
Yeah, we hope it morphs into that for sure.
I mean, I picture in 2 years a team series followed by a BPT with team series somewhere in the kind of general vicinity to where you guys are already there. You're doing 12 weeks out of the year, 6 BPTs, 6 team events, $100,000. You're fishing for $50,000 each in the team. This has to morph into something good.
And I think I touched on it with it being live now. It's going to be a lot easier for them to rotate.
Yeah, and you guys are at the end of the year going up against NFL football and college football and all sorts of stuff. So, when everyone's excited, but it's a good deal.
The people that actually click on there, how long they stay, I think that's really going to go up in the team events versus clicking on, checking it, clicking off, clicking back on, checking, clicking off. You get pretty engaged pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. And that's I'll say it's been a couple of years since I've had any kind of win. There were a lot of people watching, a lot of people text, a lot of people congratulating us. So there's no doubt that there's a lot of folks enjoyed this.
People that I didn't even knew had my number. I'm like, type this number in and tell me who this is texting me.
So you guys drove to that deal together? So you traveled home after the win and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, we had I picked Odd up, and then we had our buddy Taylor who films after the cast for us, which is our new YouTube deal with Edwin. So Taylor rode with us, filmed it all. It was a road trip, long road trip. Ott's a really good driver. If you watch him fish with that spinning rod, he's elite with that spinning rod. He's also an elite driver, so I had no problem letting him drive my truck.
I am a good driver. I will say my passengers have very small bladders.
I've noticed that as I get older. My ability to go an entire tank of gas without stopping is rare.
You can't. How old are you, Matt?
I just turned 40, Andy.
See, there you go. See, Ott's only 39. I'm telling you, I'm like, dude, you're 3 years behind me. You're going to see, buddy. You're going to see. It's going to happen.
The problem is Taylor's 19. He had to pee as much as you did.
Well, that's true.
If Taylor's watching this, we're embarrassing him real good right now. But no,
what channel? So you guys are doing this on separate channels then?
No, it's after the cast.
It's on you. Pull up YouTube and then type in after the cast.
How new is this? I have not seen this one.
Oh, dang, Matt. You so disappointed us.
Do you know how much stuff there is to watch on YouTube these days?
I know. I know.
That's what you call diluted.
I don't know.
Here it is. Right there. Yeah. There it is. After the cast. Yeah, everyone needs to go subscribe to that. That's only you're just approaching 3,000 and it looks like a bunch of interest. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edwin got in on that and crushed it. Edwin's is such a professional YouTube channel. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He's really good at it. We try to take the professionalism out of it in this one.
You guys, I feel like you guys remember the first time you guys were filmed together, right? You think about it. Bay to Knock when there were 9 days in a row that were canceled. Remember we were doing the the In the House series, which was basically cribs for bass fishing, and we had nothing to do. And Jeffries is like, I didn't send you up there to sit on your butts all day. So we did the in the hotel room with Ott and Andy.
I had forgotten that.
Do you remember that, Andy?
Yep, somewhat.
Yeah, Andy does not remember that at all. But we came and we did an entire episode of like your hotel room and the tackle and everything that you had in it up at, it was at Bay de Noc, wasn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Ott totally remembers it. Andy has absolutely no recollection of this, Ott.
It is vague, but I do remember. And I mean, the biggest thing I remember about Bay de Noc is how many days got canceled. But I do remember, like, what are we going to do? And I think you called us and was like, hey, let's do this. And we were like, sure, please.
We did. We also heard Jeffries making fun of you for you said something about your assistant, but he actually had an assistant too.
Yeah.
It was you.
Me.
Exactly.
He's an unpaid assistant. No, he kind of paid me.
Yeah.
You got a free bag of worms or something?
Nah, he took care of me. I owe Mark pretty much everything for this industry, and he wasn't easy on me, but taught me a lot of good lessons, some of which I still don't feel like I needed to learn at the time, but I learned them.
Yeah.
So you guys have has Ott DeFOE become a scoper? Ott DeFOE teaches MLF pros how to ride a bike. Edwin gave Ott the worst haircut.
So bad.
The secret to pro angler success, the reality. Oh, you guys got the titles down. This thing is going to explode. You're just going to have one viral video and it's going to explode.
We hope so.
That's Taylor. That's all Taylor. And so a quick story on him. We had decided we wanted to do this, back before the year started, and we reached out to Tyler Anderson.
Yep.
And
is that Tyler's Real Fishing?
Tyler Real Fishing, yeah. And told him what we were wanting to do and that kind of stuff. And he was actually hiring Taylor. So Taylor's from New York. He's 19 years old, and he was moving to Texas to work for Taylor working for Tyler. And so we ended up hiring Taylor through Tyler Anderson, and it was. Yeah, no, it's been a great thing. Been really good for us, and he travels with us to every tournament, and so it's been good.
Very cool. Yeah, guys, go subscribe to that. Good stuff. You guys are like two of the easiest, like most likable people in the industry.
Well,
it's like I don't think there's a single person that could like root against your team.
Well, that makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Most days we are like every now and then our wives get mad at us, but other than that, we never get mad at each other, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. No.
You've never had any on the water?
No, zero. Off the water, on the water.
No.
Yep.
That's back in the elite days, we could share everything, waypoints, everything, and during competition, whatever. And I always told people, I was like, there were a lot of times Andy paid me $10,000, and there were times I paid Andy $10,000. Like that selflessness has just always been there, and we've always been pretty tight.
Yeah, and you never have to worry about running into each other because you're fishing a blow through on a bridge 90% of the time, and Andy's got a white swim jig on a row of docks 90% of the time. So like you guys don't really like cross paths.
I don't know. We cross paths more than you think. I was pretty good with that white swim jig now. I can tell you that. So we do cross paths a lot, but
we do.
It's all work.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we won't have to worry about that if it's a team series.
That's right.
You won't have to worry about it at all.
Just
you
one,
can
2
imagine
punch.
swimming a white jig together. Holy smokes, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
And one would you'd have to be flipping though, because you'd have to mix it up because it wouldn't make sense if you're both swimming the white jig.
Andy almost always cast right-handed, and I'll get over here and cast left-handed.
Oh,
we could mix it up though. It could be a spinner bait in front of a white jig, or a white jig in front of a thunder cricket or a chatterbait or whatever. There's a lot of options.
A lot of able ways to mix that up.
Well, enjoy the win. Well, you guys got to split 20K, so you got 10K a piece, or you got
20 each.
Oh, you got 20 each, so it was 40. Okay, no entry fee, just like bonus afterwards.
Yeah. That's in this deal, it's. I think it's out there. Show up money. If you get put out in the first round, you get $4,500. So just for going, you're going to come out ahead.
Well, I don't feel nearly as bad for Lucas now. You didn't mention that part.
Yeah.
Did Lucas make it out of the first round?
Nah, he got beat by, I think, Alton nailed it
Yeah.
with 1 minute left on a 1 pound. But I also know the type of steak that Lucas likes to grill. So that 4,500 is like maybe 4 steaks because he's got pretty high. He likes that
Yeah.
Wagyu.
Yeah.
He likes those $200 steaks.
Art was complaining about his elbow started hurting him. I told him we could buy a lot of Advil for $20,000. Let's go.
Yeah. That was awesome. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. I greatly appreciate the time. Congratulations on both of you, and thanks for giving us some good live TV coverage last week to watch.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
That is DeFOE, Andy Montgomery. When we come back, I want to dive more into what went on the West Coast this past weekend. Also, I feel somewhat responsible, a little bit responsible, partially responsible for a 7-pound smallmouth that was caught a couple days ago. So it's BTL on a Monday. We will be back right after this.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Monday. Two of the best guys in the sport right there, Andy Montgomery at DeFOE, taking the Heritage Cup win. I didn't realize that they had each individually won the Heritage Cup like before. I don't know if that was individual or with the team, but really good stuff there. I did mention that Lake Mead Open. It's like 130 some boats in it, and one of the cool guide day episodes. I said we just dropped a guide day last week. I'm working on another guide day episode coming up, a little bit of Lake Washita in Arkansas action, some really cool stuff there. But Julius Mazie talked about fishing the opens. He was going back to Arizona to guide. He was working at the tackle shop, that type of thing. And then he goes out in the Lake Mead Open. Bill Brown was second in that. The John Murray was fourth. Kyle Grover, the U.S. Open champion, eighth. Clifford Perch, 11th. Todd Woods, 14th. Cody Steckel, I've met him. He's in the opens. He made a run at the Elite Series this year through the EQs. Roy Hawk, 18th. Josh Bertrand, 19th. I mean, I got like ants crawling on my desk. This is not good. I've never seen a single bug in here. I had like 3 ants on the desk. So it was stacked. See Todd Klein down there, Justin Kerr, Tony Lane. I'm passing up a bunch of good West Coast guys that I don't know. No offense there. But Julius Maisie, day 1, 1192. Day 2, 1980. Day 3, 1352. 45-24. A 4-pound victory on Lake Mead is a pretty substantial victory. So congratulations to Julius. And then, like I mentioned, that BAM Bass Angler Magazine tournament trail on Thermalito After Bay. Ken Ma finishes first there. They do, I'm not sure how they do that format, but 29.82. And then Ish finished 3rd. Luke Johns finished 5th. Greg Gutierrez, there's a blast from the past. He was in the top 10 there. So 11-5 and another big trophy for the one and only Ken Ma. And then I got a text from Big JP. I was went to California this past weekend. My girlfriend's sister got married, so it was a beach wedding, which was really nice because it was like 70 degrees on the beach, and I just got to hang out and watch football on Saturday. Unfortunately, that's the other thing, to just go down wormholes. I big college football fan, OU fan, went to OU, graduated from OU, fished for OU. Played hockey at OU. Like I'm OU, go to a couple games a year usually. But in the Big 12, just the way it was positioned, there were like other rivalries with anglers. Dude, being in the SEC now, like every week, there's other like anglers that are like diehard Tennessee fans, Auburn fans, LSU fans, Ole Miss fans. So like there's all these new rivalries. And I took some heat from a number of different guys over this past week with OU showing against Tennessee. But looking forward to the rest of the year. I mean, as soon as that game was over, Steve Kennedy reached out and he was like, hey, like, think you guys might have a shot against Auburn. and he's like, hey, we'll be tailgating and stuff. So I was like looking into, man, should we go to the Auburn game? Like, should we go down to Jordan Hare and see what that's like? Like, I've been down there before when I did the Kennedy documentary, and it's like, that'd be awesome to see like OU go into that. And it's like kind of 2 teams that are trying to figure it out. But actually that day is like the day we leave for the Sunline factory in Japan, which tomorrow I need to confirm this. I talked to him last week. He said he was good to go, but I need to definitely confirm. John Cruz tomorrow on BTL. Both of us headed to Japan end of September, beginning of October, to kind of take a deep dive into the Sunline factory, a behind the scenes look at how the Sunline gets made, the factory distributed, all things Sunline. And then we're going to hit some tackle shops while we're there as well. So we're looking as to when we'll be able to do BTL lives. It might be like middle of the night BTLs for that. But when we get back for that, so no show on Wednesday, I think would be a recorded show with Uncle Frank on Thursday, because I'm headed to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Wednesday, it's kind of a pretty tight schedule that we're working with, but Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is on Thursday night. I don't know how I got this far off topic, but I got a text while I was in California, and JP, Big JP, who was on BTL Guide Day, Guides Up at Thousand Islands. Let me see what he said to me. Oh, he tried calling me, and I was helping someone, and he said, oh yeah, this was Saturday at 11:32. He said, give me a call, I got news. So I called him back, and he was on the water with a couple of guys. I wish I got their names. I didn't, but they had booked or heard about JP up there through the BTL Guide Day. And I called, and he's live, and he's like, if you remember that episode, he's like, yo, Paul, believe it what just happened. One of the dudes he was with, 7 and change smallmouth, like personal best, by far biggest smallmouth, one of the biggest smallmouth I've ever seen. So called, got to chat with them. JP was totally said they did like 27 one day and like 28 pounds on their best 5 the other day before that, which is absolutely cool to hear. So, all right, I'm going to hammer this point home one more time, since there's only 2 more shows, and this will only be applicable through September 26th. It is the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction. You can register. It's through BidPal. tons of people have given a bunch of great stuff for this. All of the items right now are up for bid. It's a silent auction. There's a bunch of one-of-the-kind cool stuff here. Last year, Milliken's trip went for like $16,200. If you guys like go through this, if you've got a little bit of extra coin to spend, if there's someone you've always wanted to get in the boat with, if there's a gift for someone else that you think, if they've got a favorite angler, you can go anywhere from $50 up to $20,000 on this thing. But if you scroll through it, there are some hidden gems that you can bid on. We're going to go through some of these, and these are all donated by anglers. A lot of them will be at the Hall of Fame, but they've all donated this. You've got Rick Clunn, original artwork, Snake River Canyon smallmouth fishing with Cody Meyer. Randy Howell on Lake Gunnersville. I'm just skipping off some of these. There's a ton you could do. There's a couple that I want to highlight. Lefebvre on Lake Erie. That'd be a fun day on the water. That's only at $300. Bobby Lane in Central Florida. Mark Rose on a private lake. Latimer in South Carolina. We just had Colby Miller on one of the shows. You can fish with him in East Texas. He's strong out there. Dude, so this is one of the underrated ones that I think you could get your hands on that would be phenomenal. The Fish with Jeremy Lawyer at Table Rock Lake. Most underrated guy as far as entertaining to be on the water with, Jeremy Lawyer. That one would be an absolute blast if you're on Table Rock. If you have kids, Alan McGuckin, have had him on the show before. He's doing a trip that's designed for anglers under 16 along with an accompanying adult on Skiatook Lake for largemouth and smallmouth. Now this one is sneaky good too. Justin Hamner, reigning Bassmaster Classic champion, and Patrick Walters, one of the top 10 live scopers in the world. You get to spend a half day in the boat with both of them. And I'm assuming this will take place like during an off day next year, either before or after an Elite Series tournament. You'll be in the boat with them for half a day, and they will teach you the ins and outs of whatever you want to know. You have to do the travel to get there and stuff, but like, dude, that is a badass trip. We've had Dan McGill on the show before with Great Lakes Finesse. That's up to $850 a day on the lake with that. Luke Palmer, I just saw on his Instagram where he's out trying to catch his personal best right now, and he can only catch 8 or 9 pounders. Alton Jones in East Texas, Lake Fork with Lance Vick. Like I said, the BTL experience right there is up to $1,000. The next bid's $1,025. What did I say about Jeffries there? Yeah, this trip includes a $250 for travel, lodging, and a prize pack from BTL sponsors, including Denali, AFCO, and Sunline. As an added bonus, Mark Jeffries, founder of BTL and head coach of the SNU, Southern Nazarene University bowling team, will give you a behind-the-scenes look at the SNU bowling facility and a 1-hour bowling lesson, complete with free games following. So, I had a great time last year with the winner of that event. I think we ended up catching 25 pounds, fairly close to the house. And then, co-host BTL, Bassmaster Live producer for a day. The KVD jersey is going to go for ridiculous. I think it's like a tournament worn from his last one. It's like numbered and autographed by Kevin. It's at $2,000 right now. And then it gets into all the different autographed jerseys. Pretty much any angler that you want has a tournament worn jersey that they grabbed there. I thought this was cool. This one would be neat for the man cave. The Mark Zona, who's going into the Hall of Fame this year, autographed bobblehead. That's up to $205. What else? Oh, and then a bunch of different gift cards that you might be able to get for under the actual value. And then we had Epic Eric on the show. Tons of different, but not yet released grapple lure package, all sorts of stuff on that. The Frank Scalish hand-painted crankbaits, $850 for the current bid. That's a man cave must. And then if you want to know what's in right now, these Epic Eric boxes, what I think is happening, and I know they go live tonight on Travis's channel, is everybody's like waiting, and then the last day it's just going to go nuts with the Baby 316, the Ace in the Hole custom lure box, and then the Balsa Legends box right now at $590. That's a ridiculous deal right now on that. Juice is pumped. Thank you for all those. If there's anybody who's bid on it, that 12. Well, I'll tell you right here. These are the actual jigs that I'm holding up right there that will be on display at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. And they are works of art. Right now, this box is at $605. All proceeds going to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. But these are like jigs you would want to fish too. All sorts of other cool stuff on here. There's a Marshall Experience. Oh, this one is awesome. The Rick Pierce Performance Bass Boat Driving Lesson. Spend a half a day on Bull Shoals or Norfolk Lake with Bass Cat's Rick Pierce, learning the ins and outs of boat driving and boat control. That would be an awesome gift for someone. A bunch of missile stuff. So all sorts of stuff you can bid on there through the 26th. So, all right, I think that's all we have for today. Like I said, I'm pretty sure John Cruz tomorrow talking about our upcoming trip to Japan and Sunline. If not, we'll figure something else out, and you'll know when we go live at 8:30 a.m. But big shout out, thank you to Andy Montgomery, to DeFOE. We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.